want you to take a look around. I need to explain your roles to you now. And this is going to be very important because, like I said, it's very important that you understand your role in the simulation. Now, I already told you that we're going to be simulating life in the wild, right? And I also told you that most of you will be playing the part of animals, right? Now, if you are wearing a green vest, or a blue vest, or a red vest, you are playing the part of an animal.
Yes.
And I want you to think about maybe what you learned in science. Since I don't teach science, I'm not so sure if you learned it yet this year, but how do we tend to classify animals? If we're talking about 3 different groups of animals, how do we tend to classify them? By what they, Christian? Eat. Very good. Awesome. By what they eat. This group right here are the type of animals that eat only plants.
Yes.
What do we call them?
Yeah, you are. No, you guys are omnivores. You guys, you're omnivores. I want you. We're plants.
What do we call the type of animal that eats only plants? Yes, Sean. Herbivores. Very good. You can pronounce the H if you want to. I don't care. Herbivores or herbivores. Sometimes I go back and forth. Herbivores. They eat only plants. Very good. And what about the animals that eat only meat? What do we call them? Those are the ones in red. They are the animals that eat only meat. What are they called, Nate?
Carnivores.
Carnivores. Very good. And when you say it, you've got to say carnivore.
Sounds like a pirate.
Kind of sounds like a pirate, yeah. It's not supposed to. It's just supposed to sound mean.
It sounds like a pirate.
Okay, so we've got the animals that eat only plants. We've got the animals that eat only meat. And then we've got the animals that eat both. And what are they called? What are they called, Grace? Omnivores. Omni meaning many, and they eat many different things. So these are the animals that eat both plants and meat. Okay, makes sense? So now you understand your role. If I haven't singled you out yet, okay, the yellows, the black, and the white, I will come to you. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten you. Your part just comes a little bit later in the explanation, okay? But you have an important role as well. So don't feel left. I told you that we're going to simulate life in the wild, and we've also talked about how the most important thing, the main thing that an animal wants to do is survive, okay? So first we're going to talk about survival, which is all bright and happy and cheerful, and then we're going to talk about death.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we're going to start with the happy, and then we'll move on to the dead. Okay, so let's start with the happy. What's happy? Life. Life is happy.
S'mores.
In your hand, you have something called a life ring. It's a metal ring that has a clip on it. It opens and closes pretty easily. That's called a life ring. Okay, I want everybody to take a look at their life ring. First, check your life ring. If you are wearing green, you should have 4 plastic green cards. You should have 1 pink strip of paper. You should have 1 blue strip of paper. Okay? If you're wearing blue, you should have 3 blue plastic cards, 1 blue strip of paper, and 1 pink strip of paper. If you're wearing red, on your life ring, you should have 2 red plastic cards and 1 blue strip of paper.
I only have 1 red.
Okay, there's a problem. That's why we check. Okay, could you guys get him 1 more red card, please? Okay. So, how are we going to survive? What do animals need in order to survive? They need many, many, many things. But what's the first thing you can think of that an animal needs to survive? Katie?
Water.
Water. Every animal needs water to survive, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do herbivores need water to survive?
Yes. Yes.
Do omnivores need water to survive?
Yes, they do.
Do carnivores need water to survive?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm not going to bring that out yet. So, here's what you're going to do. We have to simulate animals drinking water. Simulate, remember? That's why we talked about that word. Because we're not actually going to drink any water out there in the plain area. I don't want anybody going over to Lake Frank and bending over and taking a drink. Okay? That's not part of the simulation. Okay? Instead, we're going to simulate drinking water using these plastic boards. Now, if you are an animal, red, blue, or green, you should have a blue strip of paper on your life ring. Okay? Now, out there in the playing area are these plastic boards. And hanging from these plastic boards are hole punches. Okay? The way that you simulate taking a drink of water is by finding one of these boards and hole punching your blue strip of paper with this hole punch. Now, this one's kind of broken off. Usually it'll have 2 sides. It'll be like a clip, okay? Like a hole punch, okay? So you'll hole punch your card. And you need to get enough water to survive. Just 1 drink of water is not enough. in order to survive, by the end of the simulation, you must have taken 2 drinks of water. But those 2 drinks of water cannot be from the same water source. Okay? Now, obviously, I'm not going to be watching you the whole time. So how am I going to know that you're using 2 different water sources? What do you think? Can you tell me your name again, please? Lakita? True. I will see the hole punches on your paper. But you guys are smart. You're probably thinking, I'm just going to go to the same one and punch it twice. Mr. Doggett's never going to know. So what do you think we do to prevent that, Colin?
One bigger, one smaller.
You're close. You're almost exactly right. These hole punches have unique designs on them. One might be in the shape of a triangle. Another might be in the shape of a ham sandwich. This one's in the shape of a
Circle.
I don't know, it's just a unique shape. So you're going to hole punch your piece of paper with this hole puncher, and by the time the end of the simulation comes, you will have 2 different patterns punched into that blue strip of paper. If you don't, you're dead. And you've died of dehydration. That's what it's called when you die from lack of water. So, everybody who is an animal, carnivore, omnivore, or herbivore, needs at least 2 punches on their blue strip of paper. Okay? So, water is not the only thing that animals need to survive. Water definitely is important. That's why one of the reasons why we thought of it first and we talked about it first. What's another thing that animals need to survive? Probably the second thing that most people think of when they think of what animals need in order. Food! Absolutely, absolutely. And we talked about what each animal eats, right? Okay, so let's start with the herbivores. The herbivores need food. By the end of the simulation, you must get not only 2 drinks of water, but you also must get 2 meals of food. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to look around. Okay, out there in the playing area, there's lots of food, especially for herbivores. Okay, you're going to find these yellow ones are really tasty. You're going to find these yellow ones. Okay, and what I like to do is I like to make a sandwich. You know, get some pine needles in there. You know, wrap it up like a little taco. You know, and then you can just eat it, right? Do you guys think I'm serious?
No.
You're not actually going to eat plants. Instead, we have to have a way of simulating eating plants. So, out there in the playing area, you'll find these tasty berry bushes. Out there in the playing area, just like the water sources, you will find a tasty berry bush. Okay, I'm not going to tell you where they are. It's part of your job to find it. So you'll find a tasty berry bush, and the herbivores, by the end of the simulation, you must find at least 2 meals from the tasty berry bush. And of course, these hole punches are unique as well. So you need to find 2 different berry bushes. Okay? 2 different berry bushes. Okay? I don't want to see anybody try and hole punch using the demonstration one before we go down there. Somebody guard this.
I was going to try.
Okay? So, in order to survive, if you're a herbivore, you need 2 drinks of water, 2 meals from the berry bush. Okay? If you do not get 2 meals from the berry bush by the time the simulation is over, you die of
Starvation.
starvation. Exactly. You die of starvation, lack of food. Okay. So the herbivores, they know what to drink, they know what to eat. You guys are on a roll. Okay? But let's talk about the carnivores for a second. Because if you look at the carnivores, take a look at your life ring. Do the carnivores have a pink strip of paper on their life ring? No. Why not?
Because they
Why don't the carnivores have a pink strip of paper? Because the pink strip of paper is for what? Ben? Berries. So why don't they have a pink strip of paper for berries?
They don't eat berries.
Because they don't eat berries. They couldn't even eat it, even if they wanted to. Their bodies couldn't even digest them. So they don't even have a pink strip of paper. They eat meat. So where out there in the playing area are we going to find meat?
Yeah, we can eat you too, Buster.
I don't know. I see some pretty tasty meat sitting right over here.
Yeah.
Yes. That's right. That's right. You guys are the meat. You guys are the meat. So, we have to find some way of simulating eating meat. Because I don't want to see any carnivores opening their mouth really wide and taking a chunk out of any of your classmates. Okay? If any classmates come back with bite marks, bad thing, okay?
I'm suing you.
We're gonna have to fill out a lot of paperwork. Okay, so the carnivores have to eat meat, and this meat is going to be in the form of the blue omnivore or the tasty green herbivore. Nate is a vicious carnivore, okay? He's hungry. He hasn't eaten at all. As you can see, his life ring has no food on it. We need to do something about that. He's gonna track down a tasty green herbivore. So Nate, since you're volunteering for the demonstration, I'm gonna let you choose the tastiest looking herbivore in the group. Okay, all right, Ben, come on down. Let's give Ben a clap for bravery. Clap for bravery. Okay. All right, stand over here. Switch places. Okay. So. Hungry Nate has been stalking around the wild. And he has located a tasty bit of green flesh. Right?
Hey, Ben.
I hate that word flesh. It's so gross sounding. Alright, so he's found a tasty morsel of meat, and its name is Ben. We're going to simulate eating meat. And here's how we're going to do it. It's very vicious. It's very gruesome, so watch carefully.
Let's do this. PG-13.
Did you guys see it?
Kids under the age of 10
Did you guys see it?
watching this.
That was it.
Oh my gosh, that
All right.
so
I mean, it definitely looks a lot scarier on National Geographic, doesn't it? But here, that's how we're going to simulate eating meat, okay? Once the carnivore has tracked down the herbivore, he's going to tag him, okay? Lightly, in a non-sensitive area. Okay? Then, once the herbivore is tagged, the herbivore has to show in some way that his life has been taken. And we also have to show that the carnivore has eaten a meal.
Oh my gosh, my life
So here's what he's going to do. The herbivore is going to unhook his life ring, take a green life card, those are called life cards, take a green plastic life card off of his life ring. He's going to hand it to the vicious carnivore. The vicious impatient carnivore, okay, who is then going to add it to his own life ring, okay? Just a quick note, although it is a clever idea to hook on the life ring to the vest or to the belt loop or to the pocket or whatever, it's actually not a good idea because they can come apart very easily, and if you'll see out in the playing area there might be cards lying on the ground, which is litter, and that's not good. So, I'm going to ask you, please, to hold your life ring like this in your hand, okay, like this, and then hold the cards like this as you are. Now notice that the herbivore, once he was tagged, he did not complain, he did not argue, he didn't say, nuh-uh, you didn't get me. Because the whole goal of this simulation, remember we started talking about how the simulation needs to be as true to life as possible, right? So, can you imagine in real life a mountain lion hunting a deer and then the deer like getting bit in the butt and then the deer being like, nuh-uh, you didn't get me. Okay, that would be ridiculous. That's not what happens, okay? If you die, you die. You don't argue about it, okay? So, instead of arguing, you just hand over the plastic card and then you move along on your merry way, okay? So, you can give this card back now. Thank you very much. Let's give them a clap for bravery. Thank you.